we do admit new people occasionally.
I think that's good.
Super
We're
stars.
rolling. So, however you want to do it, I'll same as before. Just
Oh yeah, what do I hit to
are
turn
you
on?
going to stay here for the whole thing? Okay. So yeah, just this little button right here on the front,
Perfect.
and then I shut this off so you don't have to see all the crap on it. So.
Okay.
But you'll know when it's off because the red lights will go off.
Okay, perfect.
And yeah, if you need me, I'll just be upstairs.
Okay.
Come up real quick. It's just right up the stairs right outside here as you go
Okay.
out. And there's a desk, and you can't miss it. Remember, you can see those
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
those scans
Awesome.
and the prints. It took like a week to print because they're ginormous.
Wow.
It's big.
I'm excited.
Yeah, come see 'em.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay, see ya.
See ya.
Thank you.
So this is recording. So
Okay.
he'll just like lop this part off.
Okay.
Okay.
So whenever you all, wait,
ready?
actually, I'm gonna sit down so I don't make.
Okay.
noise.
There's a chair right there.
Okay. I'm Jill Meyer, Jillmeyer.
And I'm Tamia Wardle, Tamiawardle. Do you want me to start?
Sure.
Okay. What has been your favorite part of being a docent?
My favorite part of being a docent is definitely giving the tours. I love giving tours. I love being with students. I especially love being with students who haven't been in the museum before. And I love learning about art and sharing it and learning from the students. How about you?
I love spending time in the museum. I love the education that we continually receive being in the docent program, and I love sharing that knowledge that we learn with other people. And like you, I think it's a challenge to, it's challenging, but I love that we get to introduce first-timers to the museum and kids and even non-art lovers. And I love that we have unique ways of showing them that art, and that often you see a sparkle in their eye when they get it. I think my very favorite part of being a docent is the friends that I've made with fellow docents like you. That I have truly found my people.
Well said.
Yep. So, what initially drew you to the docent program?
I wanted to be a docent for basically 3 reasons, all of them very personal. First off, I started out my love of museums in the UMFA when I was an undergraduate student in art history at the U. And Tamia and I figured out we were both undergraduate students at the same time and had the same art history professors, but we
Yeah,
didn't
know
realize
each
that.
other.
But anyway, so coming back to the UMFA seems like coming full circle for me. I started volunteering, doing data entry and inventory in the registrar's office and being in the basement and seeing the behind-the-scenes thing, which I loved. The second reason I wanted to be a docent is I got a scholarship in graduate school from a lovely woman named Lois McNeil, and she paid my living expenses and my tuition. So I wanted to pay that forward and do Lois the honor of sharing what she gave to me with other students and hopefully getting them to love art as much as I do. And then finally, my friend, who is a Wednesday docent, Margaret Landsman, she invited me to come to the informational meeting about becoming a docent. And so Margaret's friendship drew me there. But then once I got there, the warmth of people I met, like Tamia, and the kindness and the friendliness of them, and as well as Ashley Farmer, who is our leader, made me want to stay and be a part of what a wonderful group of people. So those are the reasons why I wanted to be a docent, and I'm very glad that I did. What about you, Tamia?
Well, I always loved art, and I love museums, and I've always thought that being a docent at a museum would be a really fun thing to do. And my kids are grown, and a couple of years ago I moved to Salt Lake City, and I was trying to find something to fill my time, and I found I just happened to be in the museum, and they had a volunteer table, and Ashley was there, and I signed up, and it's a perfect fit.
more things we have in common.
Okay, what role do you think art plays in our lives, and what role does the museum play?
Having returned to the UMFA after 30 years, I have thought a lot about the role of art and our favorite museums in our lives. I think it's interesting and important to get to know and live with the work of art over time. You see something different with 20-year-old eyes than you do with 50-year-old eyes, and it's fun to think back what you thought with your 20-year-old eyes. I've enjoyed being able to revisit familiar works with the greater perspective of longer life experience. And I find it very comforting to know that things like the Tang Dynasty camel are still on view and will be for many more years to come. The donor of that camel was one of my favorite art history professors who I loved. So a museum is a community of people and art that endures over time. And it shows us that the more you look, the more you see in the art, which is one of the things I tell my tours, that and the fact that there are no wrong answers in art. And I find the students find a lot of comfort and relief in that coming from their school day, that you can look and see anything you want and not be wrong.
That's great. And then I'm not answering that one.
Okay. You don't have to. So, are there any tours that or gallery experiences that stand out for you, Tamia?
Yes, there's one that, so typically the tours that we give are usually fourth graders or older. And a couple weeks ago, we were asked to give a tour to first graders. And not only just first graders, but first graders with sketchbooks. So I did a little research, and I couldn't find a whole lot of information on how to prompt a first grader into drawing in their sketchbook. So when they came, I started showing them artwork, and I thought, we'll just keep it simple, and we'll look for shapes in artwork. And I had them drawing squares and circles, and I watched them, and they were bored out of their minds. So I decided to step it up a little, and we looked at landscapes and talked about what a landscape is and the colors in landscapes. And they said, well, can we draw landscapes? So we sat down on the floor, and they drew amazing, colorful landscapes with tons of detail. And so I saw that they were better than I had anticipated, and so at drawing. So we continued throughout the museum, and we ended up at Ethnic Man, which is a sculpture on our second floor. And we talked about ethnicity, and we all compared our skin color, and they were amazed how colorful we were, and they were very excited to proclaim that humans are very colorful. And so then they opened their sketchbooks and drew humans and colored them every color of the rainbow that we had with them. I was carrying colored pencils with us. But it taught me that I should never underestimate the ability of any tour group, because they were incredible.
And you are the master of getting them to draw and sketch, which is wonderful, since you're an artist yourself.
So the last question is, complete this sentence. Being a docent means?
Being a docent means sharing, caring, learning, supporting, and being supported. Growing, uplifting, and making a difference for kids and teachers, and also other docents too.
And I answered the same question,
Yes.
and I thought it just means that I'm an advocate for art.
Which you are very much.
You are too.
Thank you for doing this interview with me.
Thank you.